Kovidesha Vidyanam Kapara Priyavadinam. For one who has knowledge, what is a foreign country? For one who speaks kindly, who is a stranger? Friends, the ANU has a very long tradition in Asian studies in providing knowledge and understanding to the broader Australian community to enable us to engage with Asia. We have a long tradition of teaching Asian languages here. Without those Asian languages, we cannot meaningfully engage with our neighbours. Written into the ANU's charter, it says the ANU exists to enable us to speak with our neighbours, to engage with our neighbours. The cuts we're facing at the moment are absolutely without parallel in the history of Asian studies at the ANU. We look at being cut from 19 full-time professional teachers of Chinese, Japanese, Korean and Indonesian to a department of 7. We are cut from 19 to 7 in our large enrolment languages. We are told, shame, we are told that the slack will be taken up by people from elsewhere. We've got lots of native speaker PhD students. We've got lots of other scholars from other areas who have a smattering of these languages. They will pick up the slack. Friends, we are being managed by people who do not know what they are managing. We are facing very, very deep threats here. Those are our major languages. Now let's talk for a moment about our less commonly taught languages. I'm talking about Hindi, I'm talking about Vietnamese, Thai and Sanskrit. We are the only place in Australia where one can do a major in these languages. Those who are responsible for these languages are highly accomplished scholars in their own right. We have worked hard to build up our enrolments, and it has been announced in the current plan that we are to be cut from ongoing contracts to 2 or 3 year contracts. This seriously undermines all of the good work that we have done, and it basically hamstrings our ability to continue to improve and increase our programs. We face threats such as we have never faced before. I am so grateful to see so many of you coming out to support Asian studies, to support our non-language program, to support our language program. Now is the time that we need to make our voices heard. So thank you very much for coming along today. I applaud you.
We're talking about the School of Culture, History and Language. McComas has just told us about the language side. There's something about the culture and history side that needs to be emphasized. We are not talking about a group of people who are studying culture, who are studying history, who are studying language, nor yet teaching culture, teaching history, teaching language. We're talking about a school whose mission over the last several decades has been to engage with the peoples of the Asia and the Pacific region, to enable them to form their own studies of culture, their own studies of history, their own studies of languages. The School of Culture, History and Languages, McComas has pointed out, was set up to allow Australia to engage with its neighbours. The School of Culture, History and Language has evolved into something that allows Australia's neighbours to engage with Australia as well. Do we want to see 40% less engagement with our neighbours? No. Indeed not. A firm no. Do we want to see just the status quo maintained? No. Also no. We want to improve. Nothing can remain static. Nothing can survive being axed. Nothing can survive being put into cryogenesis. What we need to do is to put support where support is earned. If the School of Culture, History and Language is underperforming, I will be the first to say, let's do something serious about it. Yeah. Yet the Vice-Chancellor himself has said, we are a jewel in the crown that ANU wears, that we have arguably the highest satisfaction rates, responses of anywhere on campus. And the reward for this excellent performance, is it something we like? No. Do we have better suggestions? Yeah. Make them known, make them loud, let people know, because We're not talking about a small select group of people who just want to enjoy their own studies. We're talking about people who are training a new generation of Australian scholars, training a new generation of Australian diplomats, training and encouraging and working with new generations of scholars from Asia and Pacific countries as well. Without us coming together now, we cannot come together regionally, nationally, internationally. It's a simple request, I think. And again, if we were underperforming, I'd say X us now. But the Vice-Chancellor has said we're not. So it's a simple story, I think, I hope. Thank you.
Well, while activities are in process, I would just like to thank everyone for being here today, and to follow on from Mark's comment about some sides of multi-dimensional CHL being neglected or perhaps easily overlooked. We are talking about Pacific Studies, which is a great strength of CHL, a great strength of the College of Asian Pacific, and a great strength of the ANU. In fact, there is nowhere else in Australia to do Pacific Studies as we do here. And some people might think that to talk about the past is to talk about a legacy, but it's also a brand. We have vital work that is going on in CHL with students from the region and with people in the region. I'm standing here with one of our areas of activity, the Journal of Pacific History, 50 years last year celebrated in continuous publication. We have the fantastic Pacific Manuscripts Bureau. We have an exciting undergraduate program, a wonderful program currently being further developed in MAPS, and an HDR program. And just while we were here walking over, I asked Chris just about how many HDR students do we have in Pacific Studies? And he said, well, perhaps about 60, but we'd have to do a bit of an audit. But whatever it is, it's very active. And Jenny beside me was just in my office this morning talking about a conversation we're having in a course tomorrow, and we suggested that we'd walk over here together.
I want to talk more generally about the process. And I think that we'd all agreed that not only is this sort of punitive and prescriptive, but it's also the most preposterous combination of a budget crisis and an academic review. Now, I've been spending about 80% of my waking time, it seems, over the last few weeks, involved in drafting and redrafting various damage control documents. But obviously, they're not the only thing that we need to draft. I think it's really important to have modes of resistance like this. And in fact, there's a hell of a lot of stuff happening in media right across Australia, not just in the Canberra Times. I can't really keep up with what's being said in The Age and so forth. Could I just say, from the perspective of all of us, so not just Pacific Studies, this is not about the past, it's about the future. And it's sustaining what we've done, which is absolutely extraordinary research excellence, combined with absolutely extraordinary education and outreach. In terms of the research excellence, I mean, a document I was just finishing yesterday, you know, QS rankings for a number of our key disciplines: anthropology, archaeology, history, first in Australia, you know, something like 5th or 6th in the world. And I have to say that having been involved in the research and graduate education at the ANU for decades now, I think I'm now up to my 50th PhD student, I was delighted about a decade ago when we got undergraduate Pacific Studies going, which I think, as with Asian Studies, is not just about learning about the Pacific, but learning with the Pacific. And I think that, I mean, there are very many good things happening about the Pacific across the campus. We, of course, have to mention colleagues in other parts of our college who are doing much more political and strategic kind of work, and there's been massive cuts recently in SSGM. But I think that it's actually in our school where the foundational knowledge is created with Pacific people about deep time history, about climate change, about languages and the kind of really crucial forms of humble human interaction, not just in the kind of imperial position of Australia telling the Pacific what to do. And I think all of these things are cause for great celebration, and we've really just got to make sure that this university realises that we are a jewel in the crown and that we're not going to be ripped out. So I think, of course, my back is hurting. I'm going to stop there. Thank you.
So I'm going to strike a note of hope here and say we've been under review from 2014, and in this time we've continued to teach, to do our research, to engage with students and continue working very, very productively. I used to teach the foundational course, which started at 9 a.m. on a Monday morning, and more than 80% of the class, some of you, I can see you here, were all there in the midst of all this review and all this instability. We've continued, and that makes me feel that no matter what, we are in a position to go on sustaining ourselves, go on working well, and go on producing the kind of excellent knowledge that we have in the past. So again, just thank you for all the support that you have shown by gathering here today and by continuing to be part of Asian studies as research students, as undergraduates, as honours students, and of course, as dear colleagues. So, thank you.
Thank you, and what a conundrum we're now in, at a time when Australia should be engaging more with Asia, when the future of Australia is determined by the rise of Asia and the connections that we have with Asia. The National University, ladies and gentlemen, is cutting the Asian Studies department. This is not a time to cower. This is not a time for Asian Studies to be put down and reduced. This is a time where Asian Studies needs to be expanded upon. In 2012, the Rudd government set up the National Asian Languages and Studies in Schools program, $62 million over 4 years, cut by the Gillard government. The Gillard government thought they wanted to do something bigger. What did they produce? Well, they produced an Asian Century white paper. The white paper was archived by the Abbott government. The result was a new Colombo plan, which has its benefits, but the result of that is a bit like saying that if we put up some wind turbines on Lake George, then we're solving the issue of climate change. This is not the time for small programs. This is not the time for the National University to cower in the face of government cuts to universities and to Asian studies. Other universities look to the ANU. They look to the ANU to make a difference, and they look to the ANU for leadership. And we need to lead when it comes to Asian studies. We need to lead when it comes to Asian languages. We need more young people studying Asian languages, engaging in Asia and studying in Asia, and the National University's mandate is to do so. So let's continue this protest and let's speak up as a nation for Australia's engagement with Asia. Thank you.
The turnout's been great, and I'm really privileged to be on the same platform as those outstanding academics you've heard from, both early career researchers and distinguished professors. They are a glimpse into the talent that CHL has to offer this university and research and practice around the world. Now, the union has been involved with the staff throughout this process. However, my views are reasonably summed up in the Canberra Times article today. Emma McDonald's correct when she quotes me as using the word farcical, because this process, this extremely long, drawn-out and stressful process, has been a farcical attempt to tell staff about where they will end up. These staff have been through review over the last 12 months, and it's culminated in the change management proposal that was issued on the 29th of February. But let me give you a little bit of background, because what the change management proposal doesn't do is it doesn't give staff any answers. No answers whatsoever. Staff were told, oh, we're not cutting, there's no firm proposal, we don't have a change management proposal yet, all will be revealed. They were told it would be revealed in November. It wasn't. They were told it would be revealed in February. On the last day of February, they get a change management proposal that says, well, we think we'll reorganise things like this. And then we're going to get some of your colleagues to decide which bit of the department you'll end up in. And maybe you'll have a job, but actually probably 15 or so of you will have to transition. Transition being management speak for we'll cut the staff, we'll cut the programs, and not only that, we'll take esteemed programs like the Sanskrit, Hindi and other less commonly taught languages, and we'll shift those continuing staff onto short-term contracts. Shame, absolute shame. And my question is, who's next? The staff from CHL have been proactive in getting information out there to say, are we the first of a series of reviews at the university that are resulting in these outrageous suggestions for change, industrial change that I might add contravenes, is a breach of the enterprise agreement waiting to happen. This idea that you can take continuing staff and put them on fixed term contracts doing the same work. It's outrageous. And so we urge you to put forward your views. I forgive you if you can't read the change management document, because I tell you, I've printed it. Sorry, trees, but it's that thick. Yeah, but put forward your views. There's enough information here. The students have put together a brilliant flyer that summarises the 5 key issues. There's lots of information on the Facebook page. You've heard the speakers today. You're as informed as anyone else in this conversation, and it's really important that we get this message through. Thank you.
Hey everyone, it's so great to see such a great turnout today. I'm so glad. I'm sorry if it rains on you. I'm studying Chinese and Japanese here, and I have been so lucky. I have had some fantastic teachers, some great tutors, some fantastic lecturers. I've had great opportunities, and I've just learned so much more than I ever thought I could. But I'm wondering right now, am I the last person? Am I the last of the lucky ones? Are we the last of the lucky ones to be enjoying these sort of fantastic programs with these great staff? Like, this is ridiculous. And we've had the luxury of being able to enjoy small classes and just a wide range of teachers with so much knowledge and so much experience. It pains me to think that these people with so much to share and so much to give to us are just being treated as if they don't matter, being put on short-term contracts. One of my favorite teachers, a teacher who's taught 2 generations of my family, Shun Ikeda. He is the heart and soul of the Japanese department, and we might not see him at the end of this year. Not only that, but he also does everything for the Kabuki Club, which is the biggest Japanese performing arts group outside of Japan. And without him, I don't know what's going to happen to our fantastic club. He is so much, and he is just being treated as if he doesn't matter at all. And this makes me so sad. And the fact that the people organising this change, orchestrating this change, aren't talking to our academics, aren't talking to the people on the ground teaching. Like, why would you do that? You've got to organise this in collaboration with other people if you want it to work, or do you just not want it to work? I'm so sick of being seen of this school of languages, this school of culture and history being treated as a financial institution. It is more than that. It is so much more than that. We, the students, are more than, you know, the price tags on our heads. The academics are more than how much you pay them. We have so much to give, so much to learn, and you're investing so much in Australia's history when you invest in our school, and I just think it's absolutely disgusting that they would even consider cutting languages at ANU and culture and history in Asia, for God's sakes. What are we? We're pretty much an Asian country, like, yep. So thank you so much for being here, and don't give up. Please don't give up. We know you love it, and we need to see the support continuing. So thank you so much, everyone.
Hey everyone. I studied Japanese at the ANU for 4 years. And so basically I want to talk from a perspective of a student, what basically you guys are going to lose if these cuts go through. So like, I started Japanese at the ANU. I took 3 courses in first year. I was blessed to have 7 different teachers. And like, you might think that's a bad thing, like how are they going to organize everything? But that's actually like an amazing thing to have 7 different teachers who will like work with you separately. And each teacher's good at their different thing. If you're going to like halve them or even just summarize them into 2 teachers, that's like you're losing more than half the experience that you could and should be getting at the best university in Australia. Because yeah, I'm like 100% sure that at the moment we have the best Japanese program in Australia, and we may not have that after these cuts go through. We've already lost some of our best tutors. Juni Maki is gone. She's a fantastic tutor. The translation course is in danger. We have one of the most famous Japanese translators in the world. She publishes for Penguin, and yeah, I'm pretty sure she'll not be around after these cuts go through. And like that course got me a job. Like I just said, like I worked under her, and then they were like, yeah, you can have a translation job. Then also the other big danger for people studying Japanese is the loss of the advanced courses. Like there's no point in like learning a language to intermediate and just like stopping, because you've just wasted your time. It's like you can't use it for anything. So yeah, it's just like the government wants us to capitalize on these free trade deals, but if we don't have the skills, then we're not going to be able to put businesses in China or Japan because no one can speak the language. So yeah, the dean herself actually has an interest in Japanese law, and I looked at her papers. Apparently she's published a lot of papers on Japanese law. Like I'm not sure how she got the proficiency needed to read Japanese law, but her cuts are basically stopping future students from ever gaining that proficiency here at the ANU. So yeah. The other thing is the PhD students. Like asking a native speaker, PhD student to teach a language is like me turning to you and being like, hey, you speak English, go teach to a bunch of students who are advanced. You would have no idea where to start. You might be good, you might be bad, I don't know, but like that's not going to replace like professional people that have been doing it for years on end. And then the last thing is that Japanese at the ANU is not just about the classes. Like lots of long-term staff have worked very hard to create like links with the embassy, links with the Australia-Japan Foundation, with the Japan Foundation. And then if everyone just goes to 3-year contracts, I don't see these links and all this out-of-class activity continuing. And basically like that out-of-class activity is as important as what you learn in class, because you can't just, learning doesn't stop when you leave the classroom door. You have to practice it in the real world. So yeah, if everyone goes on to 3-year contracts, that's not going to continue. And so now imagine these losses, not just in the Japanese department, but in like Chinese, in all the departments across the uni. What will happen to the languages of ANU? Like, the worst thing is that ANU tells its high school students, like, look, come to the ANU, we have amazing Asian languages, but then we're cutting them, so we're just lying to prospective students, and it's just disgusting. So yeah, I don't know anything about like uni admin or anything, and it's not that I think the dean is stupid or anything. Like, she's probably got a lot of issues going on, like with the college and everything. But like, she should know that with these cuts, we're losing a lot to gain. I don't know what, whether we even will gain, we don't know, because financial information hasn't been released. So yeah, I think we just need to think about that. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Phoebe Sears. I study Asia Pacific Studies. And over the summer, I got to go over to Hawaii with the Pacific Studies Field School, which was just an incredible experience. The University of Hawaii really looks to ANU as a real leader in Pacific Studies and vice versa. It would just be such a shame for that relationship to break down because of a lack of funding. Pacific Studies is really interdisciplinary. It's relevant to environment and history and politics. And the best thing that it gives you is an appreciation for storytelling, which is something that I've taken not just from Pacific Studies but also taken it into real life as well. It breaks down misconceptions about our neighbours, and it takes sort of theory and academics into this real creative dynamic space, which is something that I've only really experienced in Pacific Studies at ANU, and it's one of the reasons why I study here. It's all owed to the fantastic academics in our department, and it would just be really a shame to see them go. And yeah, in times of like a changing climate and sort of political questions that we're going through, it's really important for our students to have this knowledge and this background about our closest neighbours. I also study Indonesian, and I was able to go over to Indonesia and study the language over there. And that's another really important close neighbour that we need those relationships with. We need that literacy and legitimacy to be able to say, I know where you're coming from, I understand this place because I studied it at ANU. And it would just be a shame for new school leavers who come in to miss out on that.
Agreed. Hi, my name's Bianca. I'm a PhD student in the School of Culture, History and Language. I originally came to Canberra to study Vietnamese, which is spoken by some 90 million people all over the world, and the ANU doesn't see fit to continue that program. And what I really benefited the most from at ANU is being able to move into Pacific Studies, where I found a community of scholars who were committed to a deep, rich, and respectful engagement with our closest neighbours, and to see those academics now face the worst cuts of their entire career has been so disappointing. I have had colleagues from other universities who look to ANU as being the centre for Pacific Studies, and they're saying, what's going on? I once had ANU at the top of my list for somewhere to end up at the pinnacle of my career, and now they're looking to other places. And I'm really, really sad about that, and I'm happy that you're all here supporting us, and I hope that maybe the ANU can see what a community we are when we all come together united behind this cause, and we'll see how we go from here. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Sarah. I'm a PhD student here at the ANU in the Faculty of Law. I moved to Canberra 11 years ago now to study Thai. If the review that is now underway was underway when I was deciding what I would do post-school, I would not be here now. I would never have looked at this university as an option. Had Thai not been offered at this university and offered at a very high standard, chances are I would have gone to my local university, to the University of Melbourne in Victoria, and not had the 11-year association that I have had with this university. And I think that is something which is easily overlooked when we're conducting these reviews. We look at, well, how many students are studying these subjects compared to other subjects? And don't think what other parts of the university might also lose if we cut what it is that is special about this faculty. People don't come to ANU to study Asian Studies only because ANU has an Asian Studies faculty. People come here to study Asian Studies because this university offers something which other universities don't. It offers languages which other universities don't. It offers advanced courses and expertise that other universities don't. And under this review, all of that stands to be lost. This university looks like it might stand on an equal footing to other universities that have Chinese, that have Japanese, that have Indonesian. It will no longer be a drawing card bringing people here. The only other thing I want to say is that sometimes it's easy to look at student numbers and say, well, the workload is small. In the small languages, the lesser taught languages, there might only be 8 students in a class. There might only be 10 students in a class. That doesn't mean that teaching these courses takes considerably less work than teaching courses with a larger student load. The curriculum still needs to be revised. The lecturers still need to turn up. The lecturers still need to understand and cater for the students they have and their abilities. And in some respects, the workload is higher. Unlike some of the students who spoke earlier today, I don't have the privilege of having been taught by 7 different Thai lecturers. And yet I have had the ability to access the same opportunities and experience the same variety of learning possibilities, occupational possibilities as students who study those greater languages. Why? Because of the increased effort put in by the smaller staff in my area. Although Thai is a small language, it has had an online course for years. Although Thai is a small language, the full range of in-country options has been offered throughout. Though Thai is a small language, there are opportunities for exchange between the Australian National University and universities in Thailand. If the review goes ahead, if staff are moved onto temporary contracts, 2-year contracts, 3-year contracts, how do they, in good faith, sell the course, sell what they have to give to incoming students? How do you say, well, for now we have a degree program, but I'm not sure that we will by the time you get to the 3rd year of your course? That is what is under consideration here. The cuts are not just for the staff for the next 2 or 3 years, and it's not a reasonable way to check the ongoing feasibility of offering these languages, because students will not commit to something that's uncertain. What is needed for everybody in this is long-term certainty.
And I'm a PhD student lucky enough to study tongue poetry at CHL. I can honestly say that Asia Pacific Studies at ANU have changed my life, and I know that we're all here today to protect the quality of that education. We are all seriously concerned that the drastic cuts proposed in the recent change management document are unsustainable, unsupported by financial evidence, and will irrevocably damage the quality of our degrees. So what Annie and I are going to do is going to read out the demands listed in our petition. It's up on change.org. I really encourage you all to sign it. It's on our Facebook page, and here's the first one. We demand
total financial transparency and full disclosure of the raw budgetary data underlying the cuts. The college justifies the proposed mass staff cut by claiming that CHL is in deficit, yet no raw budgetary data has been released. Models and presentations which obscure the details of the purported debt are inadequate and can constitute a potential contravention of the enterprise agreement. Staff have described the proposed cuts as a manufactured crisis and have repeatedly requested to see the financial evidence over and over again. We demand that the raw figures of the CHL budget be released in full so that any change implemented is sustainable, accountable and transparent.
Our second demand, we demand clear, complete and easily accessible information so that all students can participate in meaningful consultation. The appendices to the change management document, which Cap Dean Veronica Taylor admits are crucial to understanding the proposed changes, have not been provided to undergraduate students these changes will directly affect. Any consultation undertaken without complete information is invalid. We demand our legal right under the TEXA Act to clear and widely publicised information about our degrees. We demand links to relevant documents emailed to all undergraduate students taking CHL courses, and we demand that the consultation period be extended so that students can provide informed and valid feedback.
We demand the implementation of the CHL Senior Management Group's recommendations in response to the Change Management document. We support the CHL SMG's assessment of the Change Management document as a short-sighted, unreasonable and unsustainable, and we support their recommendations, including the continued integration of the languages budget and the alternative financial model put forward to generally address the school's budgetary situation, while avoiding the devastating loss of staff. We demand that the CHL Senior Management Group recommendations and alternative financial model be implemented in full.
Resourcing and respectful treatment of professional staff. We agree with the CHL SMG's assessment that HDR, education and business node professional staff are critically under-resourced and stretched almost to breaking point. The hard work of professional staff underpins every aspect of the Asia Pacific Studies program. We demand that the Dean honour her guarantee that no professional positions will be disestablished or moved from the school to the college. We demand that professional staff be shown respect through the provision of adequate positions and resources to meet the needs of running the school.
We demand permanent contracts for staff teaching less commonly taught languages. Excellence in language teaching requires continuity and a commitment to course material refined over a period of time for longer than 2 or 3 years. CAP Dean Veronica Taylor has assured students that ANU cherishes its less commonly taught languages as a long-term investment, despite the fact that the Change Management document proposes transferring these teachers of these languages onto 2 or 3 year fixed-term contracts. In order for ANU to deliver this promised investment, we demand that the teachers of less commonly taught languages remain on permanent contracts.
Specific evidence of the means by which ANU will plan and resource its online language courses. Developing an online language course which delivers anything close to the quality of face-to-face teaching requires an enormous expenditure of time and money. The very staff members ANU contracted to develop high-quality online language courses have expressed alarm that their new online courses may not be adequately planned, resourced or blended with face-to-face classes and may degrade student language ability as well as the reputation of the university. We demand that ANU makes public exactly how it will resource its online courses to maintain the highest quality of blended online language teaching.
And this is our final demand. We demand long-term commitment to diversity, not only of linguistics offerings, but also of disciplinary expertise. ANU attracts students from all over the country for our excellent language programs and also for our breadth of disciplines that provide deep and multifaceted understandings of the Asia-Pacific region. Any shift towards interdisciplinary studies must retain the specific disciplinary and regional expertise that makes ANU Asia-Pacific Studies program unique and internationally competitive. We demand the maintenance of the school's disciplinary richness through improved strategic coordination between CAP and CAS so that a wider range of students gain access to the disciplinary and regional expertise offered by CHL staff.
Right, so sign the petition. It's up on language diversity and Hands Off Asia Pacific Studies. Thank you all for coming.